Hey everyone, welcome. It is Groundhog's Day, and the Punxsutawney Phil here in the United States saw the shadows. So that means 6 more weeks of winter. So it's going to be cold, and as a matter of fact, the East Coast of the country and the Southwest of the country is proving that today. So welcome. It is a very not so busy Thursday, but interesting stuff on the horizon. Let's talk about probably one of the most entertaining events every year, and that, of course, is the PGA Tour's AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. It's played on Spyglass Hill, which, of course, is one of the most beautiful golf courses in the country. It's on the Monterey Peninsula, which is about 2 hours south of San Francisco in that area. Very, very lovely golf course. We get to see the Pacific Ocean. We get to see the wind. We get to see Bill Murray play golf. It's really kind of a cool thing. So broadcast times for that from our friends at NBC and Peacock and the Golf Channel. This afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. Tomorrow, Friday, also 3 to 6. And then Saturday and Sunday, same times, 1 to 3, 1 to 3. Okay? So the notable players this week in the tournament are Jordan Spieth, Victor Hovland, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Matt Kuchar, Webb Simpson, Justin Rose, Kellen Kisner, and Taylor Montgomery. Definitely not in the list, unfortunately. Rory McIlroy, who won last week in Dubai. So kind of an interesting situation there. Some of the folks that, as we said before, who are always fun to watch there is, of course, Bill Murray, and there's always 2 or 3 other characters from Caddyshack who show up and play. Adam Sandler is always a fun ad, and Adam will be in the tournament. So Tony Romo, who is CBS NFL analyst, will be there, and it's going to be a fun one. So check on your calendar starting this afternoon. We're just talking.
Hey,
Sean, welcome. We're just talking about today. We hadn't got to the soccer yet, but we did get to one of the most enjoyable events for me every year is the AT&T Pebble Beach Classic out in Monterey. And it's always fun to see, Bill Murray's always in it. Adam Sandler's in it. You got some true characters. And along with the fact that, it's probably one of the most difficult golf courses to play. It's always a fun tour tournament. And so there you go. It's a lot of fun. So we're just chatting about that. And then what's on your mind this morning?
just a little echo there. Watching. I know Real Madrid plays today, so that'll be interesting. Not a lot once again, not a lot of soccer today, but see what the schedule shows for today. We do have yesterday the Club World Cup started, which I think is pretty interesting. Al Ahly beat Auckland City 3-0. I always think that tournament is pretty interesting to watch. You're going to see, Seattle on Saturday. If Seattle can beat Al Ahly and get to a semifinal and just keep making history. But, today, Real Madrid, Valencia, Juventus, Lazio, there's not a lot of games on the docket today. So a little bit of a slow day for soccer.
They're out in Carson, California, which is suburban Los Angeles. They're doing, Apple's doing their final test run today, practice run for the season.
Yeah, they sent me an email yesterday.
Yep, and my brother's out there running that operation. It should be a lot of fun, and Apple's doing some interesting things. I got a peek, and I think the telecast is going to be very entertaining. They hired a lot of announcers Got
Yes.
30 of them. Some of them whose names I know, some who I do not, but that doesn't mean they're not good. They're also giving you an interesting thing. I don't know. Is Philadelphia, the Philadelphia soccer team, are they? Do they have a radio contract? Can you hear the games on the radio?
I
don't
feel
hear
like
United. You can hear it on the radio, but it's Spanish. They don't have an English radio broadcast.
I feel like you can somewhere. I feel maybe.
The reason I bring it up is what Apple's doing is they're giving you the opportunity to watch the game, and if you choose, you have the opportunity to choose to listen to your home announcers.
Yes.
So I think
Sirius does that.
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. Like Sirius, is basically, what I listen to in the car.
Mm-hmm.
So,
they got our buddies Ray Hudson and Rodney Marsh on there, a couple of entertaining guys, and so it's a lot of fun in that regard. So yeah, I'm anxious to see how folks react to Apple's broadcast. Another thing with regard to the media aspect of it is that ratings so far, the soccer in general is crushing the NHL.
Oh, it's not even.
Numbers are down 22%, and that really, you know what, it screws up that theory that if you're not on ESPN, you can't make it, because soccer. I'm sorry, the NHL on NBC. It moved over to TNT and to ESPN, and they're down 22%. So, the theory of the case on that one is if you can't be on ESPN, you can't be, nothing happens. Well, a sizable chunk of soccer is not on ESPN, and they're doing fine. So it is what it is, but the NHL is getting crushed. The NBA is down 10%. So they're getting crushed. Major League Baseball hasn't started yet, so we can't really compare. But 2023 looks like the year of soccer in the States as, the tide begins to turn a little bit. And there's a lot of investment in it. So that's a good thing too.
Yeah, it's, I think, look, I'm not the person to ask about whether or not, the soccer is bigger than these. I've said it for years. Right now, I think it's football, NFL, college. I'll group that into one. Maybe college basketball, and then baseball. Then soccer. The Premier League is bigger than baseball now at this point. It's got bigger numbers.
Well, it's actually bigger than college football in so much as hey Diggs, how you doing? It's bigger than college football because college football has become regionalized, and so
baseball is the same way. Baseball and hockey are regionalized at this point, and it's NBA. I still think the NBA I think still has some. I'll put it to you this way: in 10 years from now, baseball, basketball, these numbers are going to be going down, and soccer's numbers are going to be going up. Right. So, soccer's numbers are only going to go up from here. So,
well, you have to understand too, as we said before, demographics are destiny. If the 18 to 34 audience is way over on soccer and not on the NBA, not on the NHL, not on Major League Baseball, there's your destiny. So it is what it is. A record, they noted yesterday, a record amount of spending in the Premier League on transfer fees. And I know you were looking at that the other day. A lot of teams have money in the Premier League because they spend a lot of it.
Yeah, they have. It's Chelsea's trying to circumvent financial fair play. I mean, that's exactly what they're doing. I don't think I'm saying anything by.
Why don't you explain what financial fair play is? Is it
I
like
mean, it
salary
doesn't even
cap?
matter, to be honest, because Manchester City broke financial fair play. Where you're not supposed to be able to spend more than whatever amount of money that you bring in revenue, and over a certain, 3-year period. And Manchester City broke it and was kicked out, and then the Court of Arbitration for Sport, got rid of it. So FFP doesn't really mean much now.
So it's like a
You're supposed to face sanctions and stuff like some little teams do, but Manchester City wasn't, because they have money to go against these people. But basically, you
it's
can't
revenue
spend all
neutral.
this money that you don't have. The way that they're getting around it is buying all these players and giving these long contracts, 7-8 year contracts, which you're not going to be able to do. You can do it next year, but it won't work for the financial player play because it'll only count for 4 or 5 years. So Chelsea's just buying everybody now before all this stuff happens. And then in the summer, they'll have to sell a ton of players because they're not going to make the Champions League. And if they don't make the Champions League, they're going to be in breach of financial fair play and all this stuff. So the only way they'd make the Champions League now at this point is if they won it. I don't think they're going to finish top 4. I don't think they're going to win the Champions League. They don't have a number 9. So they're going to have to – they can't even register all these players. That's the other problem. Like, they have all these players. They can't even register them. So it's a bit like Barcelona. So – but yeah, 40% of the spending came from them, but Bournemouth was the second biggest spenders. That's why these other leagues are going crazy, because like the team like Bournemouth is spending money. That's just shows how much money's in the Premier League at this point. Nottingham Forest, Keylor Navas is a Champions League goalkeeper, and he's going to, Nottingham Forest to be Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest now has 3 goalkeepers. I mean, it's crazy at this point.
So they're stockpiling players, right? But
Yeah,
gets
they're
point.
stockpiling very young players, which is smart, but it's also scattergun approach. I mean, they're going to have a lot of problems in the summer if they can't offload players, and now people will know that these players are going to be available for cheap, and they're not going to be able to kind of maybe get the price that they should be getting for them. So, yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Does that get back to your throughout the week, this past couple of weeks, you've been talking about the different teams have depth in such position that they can roll out what in essence is a second version of the team.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what we're talking about here with the stockpiling of players so that you can roll out a team too?
Yeah. You got to play, Chelsea's playing in multiple cups right now. I think they're out of the FA Cup and the obviously the Carabao Cup, but they're in the Champions League. So I think it's just going forward. But next year, if they finish in the Europa League spots, they're going to have to sell probably 10 players. So I mean, they have so many players. I mean, Chelsea's just been notorious for having these players on loan. And, at some point, I think they can't do that. Like,
catch up with them.
Come to a head. Yeah, exactly.
So, from that standpoint, how many? I guess for me, as a fan, I'm obviously not as deep a fan as you are, but you've got all of these tournaments going on, right? At the same time, you're playing in your league play. Do you focus on? Do you say, all right, screw it. I want the hardware, so I'll go for this trophy, and potentially draw and not win my or even could be competitive in my league.
Yeah, it's I don't know how this is all going to work for they just
for the long term.
Yeah, new signings.
I know you said earlier in one of the shows that we dealt with that sometimes it's better just to grab a trophy and a title, and that can spur you on to better things down the road.
Yeah,
even though
look, it's all about winning trophies at this point. Like for Manchester United, if Eric Ten Hag wins a trophy in his first year, it's massive. If Newcastle wins a trophy under their new project, it's massive. These things legitimize projects. So it's important. I think Chelsea. Right now Chelsea, the only trophy they can win right now is the Champions League, and I still don't know if they're available. I just don't know. Enzo Fernandez is good, but he's not scoring goals. So the players they brought in are very good, but in certain positions. So
Well, I know next week you're going to be joining us from Europe. Are you excited about your trip? Are you ready to rock and roll?
yeah, I got a lot of stuff to do before I go, but yeah, definitely I'm excited to see some games and stuff, and go to some. I'm going to the International Gaming Conference, affiliate gaming conference on Friday and Saturday, and meeting some people from sports betting and stuff like that. So that'll be cool, and gonna get a chance to go to some games. So yeah,
so it's a busy time.
Yeah, it'll be pretty busy
in a good way.
Yeah, that's right.
Sometimes we have busy times, not so much fun.
That's right.
So yesterday was a busy day in college football, and it was the final day of signing till May. And things have gotten a little wacky now with the NIL, the name, image, and likeness. So, but when you look at who got what, right? The winners, go figure, Georgia and Alabama. Okay. They always win. So then there you go. South Carolina got a good group. Arizona State ended up doing well. And Coach Deion Sanders had brought in a ton of players through the portal to Colorado. Mississippi State didn't do badly. Oregon, they won some. USC won some, lost some. So basically, the losers, Maryland, and anybody dealing with the NIL. I don't understand how anybody can figure out what's going on with the NIL, because the way it's set up, you could offer somebody something, but when they sit down to do the contract, suddenly that contract is not what you may have wished them, or told them or promised them. And so you see guys committing and then decommitting, committing and decommitting. It was a mess at the University of Florida. They supposedly offered $13 million. And it's like, how can you possibly offer a kid who hasn't played, and that's Jaden Rashad. He ends up at Arizona State after starting, committed to Miami, committed to Florida, and then ends up at Arizona State. And just for those out there who follow college sports and college football and basketball, because you can do this in anything, until the kid literally physically sits down in a classroom, okay, he can commit all he wants to, he can sign all the paperwork, but until he takes a class on campus, it doesn't count.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It's getting to the point where I don't even like this stuff is. Look, you're just paying for players now. Basketball. It's always been like this. It's like a joke. These teams. It's going to be the same teams over and over. It's going to be the same, the college, the class rankings, Alabama, Georgia. It's.
Well, Phil Knight doesn't have a pro team, so he has Oregon.
I just look. It's getting to the point now where it's just like, I can't.
Well, let me ask you a question. Something that you, I know, have a passion for, and also have history, and that's college soccer. I know that there's a lot of people who enjoy going and watching college soccer.
Yep.
It's the level of college soccer has gotten to be very, very good. What's your take on U.S. college soccer?
Well, I mean, it's all foreign players at this point. I mean, when you see
Mhm.
these teams, I mean, the rosters up and down are all kids from England and France and Spain
Mhm.
and Brazil and, wherever. I mean, it's, there's not any, I mean, if you look on these rosters, it's not, I mean, this isn't even at the top. I mean, this is all the way down to like the MAC teams. I do the
Mhm.
ESPN Plus for Ryder, and,
Mhm.
their entire roster is kids from other countries, and it's there's also kids from America and the area, but they don't play. It's kids. Their whole back line was from France and Spain last year. I think Morocco. I mean, it's become a place for all these kids from other countries to come over, and if you're not recruiting overseas at this point, you got no chance. So
Right.
it's crazy.
Well, I mean, does it help the players from the U.S. to play with folks who come from overseas, specifically from Europe?
Yeah, it's not it's all there's a pipeline, and
Mhm.
it's the same look in New Jersey when you see the coaches. I mean, the coaches for these youth
Mhm.
teams are all people from Ireland and England who
Mhm.
come over here, and they the parents give them extra money because they hear an English accent. You're like, this guy
Sure.
must know what he's talking
It
about.
must be a
This
soccer.
is here just because he's trying to, get out of England and they're paying him crazy money. So I mean, it's a little, that whole system is a mess as well. It's but it's these kids take advantage, and they come over and get a college degree, and they don't they go back to wherever they're from, and they don't stay here. I mean, America has a lot of kids like that from all over the world. They come here and they get degrees, and then they leave.
Right.
It's I don't really agree with that. I think if you come here and you get a degree, you should have to work here for a little bit. I mean, I don't think you should be able to have to, if you're getting a degree from Princeton
Mhm.
in engineering, and you should have to work here for 5 years and work on a project to make America better.
Mhm.
And then, if you want to go back to wherever you're from and help that country as well, I mean, I think that's big, but
Mhm.
that stuff doesn't happen in other countries, but it's, it is what it is.
I have a friend, Alex Silverman, who went to Georgetown, and he went to the Cutter campus of Georgetown after he graduated from the camp from DC, and he they have a basketball team in Cutter, so he didn't have anybody coach it. So he, as a graduate assistant, ended up coaching the Cutter version of Georgetown University. So he got business cards made up. Alex Silverman, head basketball coach, Georgetown University, and in small letters was Cutter on the other part of it. But yeah, you do see it coming from other areas. Now I know you got to go soon, so
Yeah.
yeah, so we can wrap things up early today. It doesn't look like we've got a lot going on from a standpoint of games and chat, but there'll be a lot of stuff to talk about tomorrow as we get ready for what is definitely going to be a jam-packed weekend of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
So, all right. Well, look, everybody, I hope that you enjoyed sticking around with us in a shorter version of a show today. But we'll be back tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Sean and myself, and hopefully Amedeus, and we will be ready to prepare you for a very chock full weekend of all kinds of crazy. So until then, say what was that? If I had a chance,
Foxy, yeah, Foxy. Look, I don't fault any, but like those kids coming over here to get degrees. I mean, it's the way to go. I mean, they get, American universities are amazing schools, and they go back to, they get a degree, and you get a master's degree from here, which is basically a PhD other places, and you go after 5 years because of all the COVID stuff, and you go back to wherever you're from, and you're going to get a great job, and maybe you get a chance to play somewhere, but if you don't, you got a degree from writer at Princeton or something like this, and you go back to France or Spain, and you're going to get a great job, and it's a way to go. I think it's definitely a big, it's the way to go. And Foxy, I mean, you should, I coached youth soccer all the way up to U23s here in New Jersey, and there's a ton of people from England over here in the New Jersey, PA area. It's easy to get back and forth, and they recruit them, and it's interesting. So yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing as always, Foxy. All right, guys, we'll see you on Friday. Be well and take care.